I didn't know a lot about this. This is from a Bounding into Comics article. By the way, full disclosure, this article is very slanted, but hey, I like what they do on Bounding into Comics, and I'm willing to promote them. So this is a Bounding into Comics article. It is dated May 14th, and the title of the article reads, Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Origins reveals first looks at Baroness, Scarlet, Akiko, and maskless Snake Eyes. And of course, we have the maskless Snake Eyes right here. And you know what? I'm just going to stop right there. So I've heard all sorts of people doing all sorts of commentary because they're not happy about the casting, or they're not happy about this or happy about that. I've mentioned on this show several times that as far as comic books go, the comic books that I read primarily growing up were G.I. Joe and Transformers, okay? And of the two, G.I. Joe was definitely my favorite. I really liked the comic book stories in G.I. Joe because even as a kid, I thought the cartoon, though I enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the cartoon quite a bit, I knew it was cheesy. Even as a kid, I was smart enough to know that you can't have like a bazillion laser bolts going across the screen and Scarlet can't just dodge them all and not get hit. Okay, that's stupid. That's unrealistic. That would never happen in real life. She would get hit when a barrage of freaking laser beams come towards her. And she wasn't, every single joke did that. They would dodge they never got hit or anything. The comic books, they had characters die. They routinely had characters get shot at least and get hurt and get hit and were dying and things like that. It was a completely different game. And as far as character, side characters that weren't like major, like actual toys, they killed them off in droves. I mean, in one of the first issues of G.I. Joe, I think it's Scarlet and Snake Eyes, and I think another character, and they're surrounded by bodies, like bodies and bodies of these, and they're not even Cobra troops. They're like these, like Arabian troops or something like that they've just slaughtered. I mean, just like all over the place. It's completely different. And I always enjoyed the storylines of the comic books much more than I did the cartoon. Now, in both versions, Snake Eyes was always a breakout character. I remember the first cartoon for G.I. Joe that came out. There was a significant plot line for Snake Eyes where he got like irradiated and all that kind of stuff, and he was wandering through the snow, and that's how he met the wolf eventually that became kind of iconic as well, the little wolf that would come with the later version of Snake Eyes, not the original one, but that's from the cartoon. So Snake Eyes kind of stood out immediately, even though in the cartoon they didn't really know how to use him very well, but he was a star in the comics. And they did this really neat thing where they involved him with Storm Shadow. Storm Shadow was another really cool character that was not done all that well on the cartoon series, but really shined in the comic book. And this relationship between Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow became the center of a storyline in the comic books that I think is one of the most iconic storylines of the G.I. Joe series, and quite frankly, one of the most iconic storylines in comics. It was very, very successful. Very, very successful. What is it about these idiots with their own IP? Because this is Hasbro, obviously, that's involved in making this. Paramount too, which, yeah, great, Paramount, right? Yeah, they do a great job with IP. They're really respectful of IP. Why the hell do we need to see the guy's face? That's just, I don't have to go any further than that. How do you not understand this character, this iconic character, that we need to see his face? That is part of the mystique of Snake Eyes. It's what makes Snake Eyes cool. If you remember his profile card, if you had any version of Snake Eyes as in the original series of toys, I had the second version. I still have it somewhere. You look at that profile card, it's like unknown, classified. We don't know shit about Snake Eyes. That's the allure. That's the mystique. That's what makes Snake Eyes Snake Eyes. That's why he's cool. He doesn't talk. And we all know that he basically had some sort of injury in Vietnam or something like that, and that's why he can't talk. Although I think there was also a version where it was a car accident that made him not talk. because there are different versions, right? There's sort of what you get from the back of the cards. There's what's in the comics. There's what's in the TV shows. So there's different stories, right? There's different canons, if you will, depending on what you're into. Now there's the movies. But I just feel like I don't have to get any further than this for my own personal sake. This is a character that I grew up loving, thought was awesome, and these idiots don't understand the character one bit, but are fully willing to exploit him for whatever I'm sure is going to be some stupid agenda BS. And I just don't understand it. And I don't have to go beyond this. We do not need to see the guy's face. He doesn't need to talk. The performance is supposed to be in the physicality. I thought that Ray Fisher did a great job as Snake Eyes. You know what I mean? And I don't know why they can't. Sorry, Ray Park. Sorry, Ray Fisher was on the mind because we reviewed Justice League not too long ago. But Ray Park did an awesome job, and he didn't have to talk. You know what I mean? Because he can do a physical performance, because he's a real martial artist, because he's a legit guy. You know what I mean? I'm just so kind of disgusted with this, and I don't have to go any further than this. I don't have to look at the other pictures and tell you how cheesy this is or that is or agenda, anything. Why do we even need to see the guy's face? Just ruining the character.
Well, and I just look at it in all honesty. If the idea is to give us Snake Eyes' story, and if we're going to be exploring who he is, actually the way to do this from a marketing standpoint is he's looking at the camera and he's taking the mask off, but in the poster he still would have the mask on, because at least then we know that we're going to learn who the man underneath the mask is. So from a marketing standpoint, this already is missing the whole thing. I'm pretty sure this is to satisfy the actor's requirement in his contract. This is not about storytelling, because that's how you do it. You see him taking the mask off. We're going to see who the man is behind the mask.
That's an iconic cover too. There's an iconic cover called like Unmasking, and I think I have that issue somewhere. It's like Snake Eyes and I think Storm Shadow and I think even Cobra Commander are all taking their masks off at the same time, And of course, if I recall, you still don't see Snake Eyes' face in that issue. You know what I mean? They still won't reveal his face because that was so important to the character. They were just like, no,
right?
You don't do that.
I just look at it from the standpoint of that whatever this version of Snake Eyes is that we're going to get in this movie, he's not going to be the same Snake Eyes that we grew up with, Eric. That's just the reality of what it is. This movie, just like a lot of other movies right now, and in all honesty, they're being made for someone other than the people that grew up with these franchises. Like, I don't know who they're being made for.
That's what so why not create your own thing? You know what I mean? That's what it keeps going into my head is like, okay, so make your own damn character. Now, I realize Hasbro can do whatever they want. They do fully own the character, and Hasbro is on board with this. But it's just like, do something else, man. Make another toy or something like that. I don't understand the point, because to me, the point of doing this is they basically want people that grew up with it to be like, hey, child of mine, I was really into this. So you should be into this, because parents do that. I've done that to my kids, where I'm like, I'm into this, why don't you check this out? That's what obviously they want, but I can't see, the people that grew up on this stuff flocking to this and being like, oh, this is great. You know what I mean? This is a Snake Eyes that I grew up loving, and they're doing a great job with it. No, again, I just don't, again, it goes also back to the lack of creativity in Hollywood. It's just, why can't they create their own character? They can rip off Snake Eyes and create something very similar. I mean, he's a ninja, man, for God's sake. It's not that hard to do, right? So, I mean, there's tons of stories like that. So, I don't know. I just feel like this is a total betrayal of the fandom. It's total garbage. I, for one, won't be supporting it. I won't be reviewing it. I don't care anymore. They're ruining the character. That's what Paramount apparently does now, is they just ruin characters. Sad to say that, because Paramount, used to stand for something, used to make some great stuff, but now they're part of Viacom CBS. Paramount's not even the name of the actual company, which is kind of funny. Paramount's just a marketing tool now, Paramount Plus. It's Viacom CBS is the company, So, I don't know. I'm very disillusioned with it. This is a show, a series that I really enjoyed. The comic books as well, the toys. I was into all of it, and I just feel like they don't understand the character. Period. They don't understand what makes him cool, why people like him. This isn't it. This isn't it. We don't. And I hate the fact that actors can't act with a mask on. I've gone off on that so many times with Star Trek and Star Wars stuff. Star Wars especially. Marvel stuff, it pisses me off. They can't act with a mask on. I get sick of it. I don't need to see this guy's face. I don't want to see this guy's face. If he's Snake Eyes, I shouldn't see the guy's face, except like at a convention or something, you know? I do want to mention that Hollywood Jackson's in the house. And he says, that's like covering a Stevie Ray song and changing the lyrics. That's a great analogy, Hollywood Jackson. That's exactly what it is. Except you know what? It's like I could compare it to Weird Al, but I think what Weird Al does is more respectful than what these idiots do. You know, I like Weird Al, but what they're doing is basically they're doing Weird Al, but it's serious. I think that's the best analogy I can give. It's like, yeah, you're right. They're changing the lyrics. It's Weird Al, but they're actually trying to pawn it off like it's their song, as opposed to a parody, right? It's not a parody. It's this is something I did. You know, I did this. Yeah. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Yeah, I feel like, and to be honest with you, this will be, I think, the third G.I. Joe movie that they've made. And the second one I thought was okay, but they've all kind of missed the mark. I feel like this one's just going to miss the mark too, you know? So, I mean, they keep changing too much. The thing I liked about the last one they did with The Rock is at least they were trying to stay closer to the source material, you know? But it just seems like with each iteration they go, well, the problem with G.I. Joe is G.I. Joe, so let's change it, you know? And then by the time they're done messing with it, it's not the same thing anymore. It's like, okay, all right, whatever. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm just going to sit this movie out. And the reason being is because the best Snake Eyes story I've ever read is back here on this bookcase, and I'm good.
Right. There you go.
There you go.
That's exactly right. You know, when Snake Eyes comes out, I should break out my old comics. We can talk about some of those. That's what we'll do to mooch off of these corporate shills and mooch off of Snake Eyes. I'll bring out some of those comics and talk about some real stories that you guys should be checking out if you like this character, if you care about him.
Oh, and there's a great I can't remember if it was Devil's Due or IDW or who, but there's a great Snake Eyes actually miniseries they did that I'd be happy to talk about. And the whole context of the story is he's an outsider, you know, who basically grows up, you know, not really grows up, but he's nursed back to health and trains, kind of like Iron Fist, right? And you know, he eventually becomes Snake Eyes, and it delves into the whole rivalry between him and Storm Shadow, and the fact that they trained with the same ninja clan, and it gets into all that stuff, you know. And it's really great. I would definitely prefer to talk about the comics, because the comics is the best version of Snake Eyes beyond the classic cartoons in my mind.
Right.